During family dinner at my parents', my 22-year-old daughter leaned in and whispered, "We need to leave now." She looked pale. I asked, "What happened?" She said, "You didn't look under the table." So I looked. 5 hours later, my sister was arrested, and my parents were calling in a panic. I know how that sounds. Dramatic, over the top, but trust me, I wish I were exaggerating. It started like every other family dinner. You know the type. Polished wood table, overcooked roast, polite small talk glued together with tension so thick you could butter it and serve it with bread. Every couple of months, we perform this little ritual, the dinner. My parents insist. It's important to stay connected as a family. My mother says it like the group chat didn't already feel like a hostage situation. My wife and I arrived exactly 6 minutes late, which is my version of being polite. Not early enough to help, not late enough to scold. My sister Karen was already there, of course. Perfect girl, golden child. Still calls herself between jobs, even though we all know that's just code for sitting in mom and dad's house watching cable news and Googling conspiracy theories. She sat at the head of the table like she owned the place. Our parents practically spoon-fed her. Her husband and child weren't there. She's in the middle of a divorce, so their absence was expected. No one mentioned it, of course, just tiptoed around the missing chairs like grief counselors at a party. My daughter Emma was there too. She's 22, fresh out of law school, working at one of those big firms with doors that shut properly and bathrooms you're not afraid to use. First job, big title, bigger pressure. She looked tired, but she was trying to keep up appearances. She always does. Dinner was, well, it was what it always is. Cold potatoes, warm criticism. My mother asked Emma about work, told her she should consider more stable hours like it was 1954. My father did that thing he does where he quotes a newspaper article no one asked for, then talks over everyone. My sister mostly sulked and sighed loudly, like her life was just one long injustice. I wasn't listening closely. I never really do anymore. I save my attention for when the insults start getting creative. It happened fast. Emma dropped her fork. It clattered onto the tile, and she ducked under the table to retrieve it. That's all. Just a clumsy moment. A quick bend down. A grab and go. But when she came back up, she wasn't the same. Her face had gone white, not pale, white. Like blood drained, ghost spotted, panic glazed white. Her hands were trembling just enough that I noticed, and she didn't pick her fork back up. She reached for my hand instead, like she did when she was 4 and had a nightmare. She leaned in close and whispered, low and sharp, "We need to leave now." My heart did that weird drop thing it does when something's wrong and your body knows before your brain catches up. I looked at her. Her eyes were glassy, not crying, but close. "What happened?" I asked, keeping my voice low. She didn't answer right away. She just blinked hard, then looked at me like I should already know. Then she said it, flat and cold, with a hint of sarcasm so dry it cracked. "You didn't look under the table." At first, I thought she was being poetic, like some metaphor I was supposed to decode. You didn't look under the table. The truth is always beneath the surface. Some law school life lesson. But no, she meant it literally. I bent forward, careful not to bang my knees, and peeked beneath the table. There, barely tucked beneath one of the legs, was a small, folded piece of paper. I pulled it out. Emma snatched it from my hands the second it cleared the shadows. Her hands were shaking harder now. She unfolded it, looked at it for maybe a second and a half, and then clenched her jaw so tight I heard something click. "We're leaving," she said. I nodded. My wife didn't argue. She hates being there more than I do. We made up some excuse. Emergency, headache, early start, something vague and urgent sounding. My parents raised their eyebrows, but they didn't press. Karen didn't even look up. We were gone in 5 minutes. In the car, I finally asked, "What was it?" Emma didn't answer at first. She stared out the window like she was waiting for the glass to break. Then she held up the piece of paper. I looked at it, read it out loud without thinking. River Plant 573. I stared at it. It looked like nonsense, like something from a dream that stops making sense as soon as you try to explain it. My stomach was twisting itself into knots. Emma looked like she might come undone. I tried to keep my voice even. "What is it, honey? What am I looking at?" She didn't answer, just stared ahead. Then finally, quietly, "It's my password." I blinked. "Your what?" "My password," she said again, softer this time. There was no sarcasm, no eye roll, just dread, plain and sharp. I felt the air thicken in the car, my pulse in my neck. Did you write it down? No. Did you tell anyone? No. A pause. Her voice cracked a little. It's Grandma's handwriting. I looked again, and she was right. It was my mother's handwriting. I'd recognize that messy, overconfident loop anywhere. The same one she used to write birthday cards and grocery lists. And now apparently my daughter's password. I didn't say anything, neither did my wife. Emma kept going. I don't write it down. Ever. I just remember it. They must have watched me type it, or maybe they had a camera. I don't know. My chest was tight. My brain was trying to make space for some other explanation. Any explanation that didn't end where I knew this was going. Why would they do that? I asked, my voice thinner than I meant it to be. I don't know, she snapped, voice cracking. Then quieter, calmer, but colder. But I'm going to find out. Back home, she went straight to her laptop, her work laptop, not her personal one. She opened it and logged in. I watched from the hallway, trying not to breathe too loudly. She navigated fast, focused, angry, terrified. Then she clicked something and froze. I didn't ask what she saw. She just stared at the screen for a long time. Finally, she said, "This is really bad." Then softer, "I know what they did." Then nothing. Just silence, and her crying quietly in front of a glowing screen. I didn't ask again. But I started to feel the ground shift beneath us, like something ugly had crawled out from under the table and was now sitting at the head of the family. I sat in the kitchen while Emma worked at the table, her laptop glowing faintly like a warning light. She hadn't said much since, just that she knew what they'd done and that it was bad. So I sat there watching her, waiting, turning things over in my head, and the only answer I had was, this didn't start with Emma's password. It started with me. Not that I realized it then. Growing up, everything felt normal. Mostly. Or at least I thought it did. I was the only child for the first 3 years. I got all the attention. The photo albums, the Christmas pajamas. My mother told me I was a serious baby, and I believed her. My dad said I asked too many questions. That too. And then my sister was born, Karen. She was a loud baby, one of those red-faced, attention-summoning, everyone clap now kinds of babies. The kind who gets carried into every room like she's performing. At first I didn't mind. She was just a baby. Babies need things. That's how it works. But it didn't stop. I remember when she was 2 and I was 5. She pulled my hair so hard a clump came out. I screamed. My mother said, "She doesn't know what she's doing. She's just a toddler." When she was 4, she broke my Etch-a-Sketch. I cried. My dad said, "It's just a toy." When I was 8, she hit me in the face with a plastic truck, split my lip. I still remember the smell of blood and Play-Doh. My dad told me, girls don't always know how to handle their energy. They asked me what I'd done to upset her. So, okay, I didn't hit her back. That's what good kids do, right? They stay calm. They set the example. But once, just once, I snapped. She was chasing me around the living room with a wooden spoon and smacked the back of my arm hard enough to welt. I turned around and slapped her shoulder. Reflex, not rage. They grounded me for 2 weeks. "You're older," my mother said. "You should know better." She got pizza that night. I got sent to my room. That was the first crack in the story. The second was that nothing ever changed. Karen got older. The tantrums stayed, the outbursts, the door slams, the way everything in the house tilted to protect her mood. She yelled at teachers, broke things, got into fights. My parents said the kids were too rough. The teachers didn't understand girls. The school had it out for her. She needed space. She needed patience. She needed everyone to orbit her. And I didn't. I did my homework. I cleared the table. I kept my voice down. I stayed out of the way. Eventually, I stopped expecting to be praised for anything. I stopped trying to be seen. They never hit me. They fed me, drove me to school, took my picture on the first day of 3rd grade. But the center of gravity was always her. And even after all that, I still didn't see this coming. Karen got married in her 20s, to Mark. He was smart, quiet, careful, the kind of man who watches everything and says only what needs to be said. I liked him. They had a son, big eyes, shy smile. Emma used to babysit him when she was in high school, read him stories, let him win at Uno. And for a while it seemed okay. Then one day, Mark was gone. No scene, no voicemail, no paper trail on the kitchen table. He left with the boy in the middle of the night and didn't come back. It took a few days before the truth caught up to us. Divorce, custody filing, restraining order. He said she hit him. Said it had been happening for a long time. Said he was scared. Now here's the part where I'm supposed to say I was shocked. That I couldn't believe it. But I could. I didn't want to. But I could. Mark never struck me as the kind of man who makes things up. And Karen, I knew her before the excuses. Before the charm. Before anyone ever said, she's just under a lot of stress. The signs were always there. We just didn't talk about them. Not in this family. My parents blamed him instantly. Called him manipulative. Said he was brainwashing the child. That he was turning the courts against her. My sister moved back in with them for a while. Slept in her old room. Mom made her tea. Dad sat on the porch with her, talking about men these days and how they don't know how to appreciate a good woman. I didn't stop seeing them. Not completely. We were still going to family dinners every other Saturday. But I stopped staying longer than I had to. But Emma, she kept going. Because they were nice to her. Extra nice. And I thought maybe they were just trying. Maybe they were making up for everything they hadn't been with me. They set up a little office for her upstairs. Told her she could work there any time. She works hybrid. Some days at the office, some days at home. We just want to see you more, they said. You're always working. Why not work here? We'll feed you. We'll take care of you. And they did. Lunches, coffee, groceries, kindness. They made her feel wanted. They made her feel like she mattered. And now I sit across from her, watching her work under the glow of that laptop screen. And I can't stop thinking about it. That little room, that sandwich run, that we're so proud of you. Now that she's found that password, her work password, apparently written in my mother's handwriting, I can't stop replaying it. Every smile, every quiet push to come over, every, we just want to see you. Because something was going on, and we didn't see it. Not her, not me. They wanted her close, kept her coming back, made it feel safe. But for what? That was the part I still didn't know. She hadn't told me exactly what they'd done, just that it was bad. And knowing this family the way I did, I believed her. Because I knew what it felt like when the trap had already been set, before you even walked in. Emma sat at the kitchen table like she hadn't moved in hours. Her laptop was open in front of her. The screen lit her face in sharp, uneven strokes, like someone standing too close to a fire. She didn't let us near it. That was expected. She works with confidential case files, abuse, custody, things people whisper about in court hallways. She's careful, always has been. And tonight, she looked like she was holding something radioactive with bare hands. I stood by the counter, rinsing a mug that didn't need rinsing, heart already halfway out the door. Then she said, "They downloaded Mark's file." My wife looked up from her chair. "Mark who?" she asked, though we both knew. "Mark Fletcher, Karen's husband." Her voice didn't waver. Someone opened his case file from my login, downloaded the whole thing. I felt the blood leave my hands. When? Yesterday, while I was out to lunch with Grandma and Grandpa. I didn't ask if she was sure, I just waited. I checked the logs 3 times. Timestamps, file ID, my user account, all of it. She didn't turn the screen. She didn't have to. "I didn't know he was a client," she said. "I wasn't on his case. I never even saw his name until tonight. If I had known, I would have reported it." I stepped forward and sat across from her, not to comfort, just to show I was with her. "They knew," she said. "They knew he was a client. That's why they kept inviting me. That's why they made it so easy to work there." I reached for her hand, but she pulled it into her lap like she needed both hands to hold what she was carrying. "Emma," I said softly, "you didn't do anything wrong." She shook her head slowly. "It doesn't matter. It looks like I did. My login, my laptop, and now it's tied to a sealed legal case I had no business being anywhere near." She closed the laptop like it might shatter. "If anyone sees it, I'm done." I didn't try to fix it. I just sat beside her, quiet. But there. Then the phone rang. It was my mother. Her voice a mess, part panic, part performance. "Karen's been arrested." Just like that. No warning, just dropped into my ear like a lit match. "What happened?" I asked. "Mark called the police. She just wanted to see her son. He twisted it. She went to his house, yes, but it was harmless. She brought toys. She just wanted to talk." "How did she get his address?" A pause. "She found it." "How?" "I don't know. What matters is he called the police on his own wife." I swallowed hard. Emma had stepped into the hallway. "We need help," my mother added. "Bail's $2,000. We wouldn't ask, but it's Karen." "Of course it is." "Let me call you back," I said. I ended the call before she could finish. Emma leaned against the doorframe. "They used it," she said. "The address from the file?" "You're sure?" "Nobody had his address. Not legally. And the day after someone uses my login to pull his file, she shows up at his door? Come on. We didn't want to do it over the phone, I said. Emma nodded. They'll lie, I added, unless we catch them off guard. So we went the next morning. It was Sunday, before they had time to prepare. Same house, same driveway, same stupid doormat that says family is everything. But not today. My father opened the door like he was expecting brunch. My mother greeted us with a tired smile. We went inside. Emma didn't sit. She stood, tense, solid. You stole my password, she said. You took me out for lunch so Karen could use my laptop while I was gone. I stayed standing too, right beside her. My father crossed his arms. My mother looked offended, like we'd called her lazy. She just needed to see what he was saying, my mother said. Emma's voice stayed level. She used my login. That file was confidential. Everything she did, every document, it's all tracked under my name. So, my father said, you weren't the one who looked. I stepped in. That's not the point. She's the one they'll blame. Emma nodded, eyes fixed forward. Everything we do at my firm is logged. Who accessed what and when. And someone from my account accessed a sealed case file. And now it looks like you did? My mother asked, still unimpressed. Yes, and that can bring me very, very serious trouble. My job, my license, my entire future. It's just a job, my mother said. For Karen, it's her life. Emma stared at them. You said you wanted to see me more. You said you missed me. Silence. You pretended it was about family, but it was about getting into my laptop. Still nothing. My mother finally said, quiet. When you're a parent, you'll understand. I took a step forward. I am a parent. They didn't speak again. In the car afterward, no one said a word. At the stoplight, I finally said, they didn't care what would happen to you. Emma didn't look at me, just stared out the window. They never have. And I kept driving, but not in circles this time. Emma didn't speak the next morning, but she didn't have to. She came downstairs with her laptop and a zippered folder. No makeup, no small talk. Her face had that calm, clipped expression I've only ever seen when she's either taking an exam or preparing to incinerate someone with facts. She made herself toast and didn't eat it. My wife asked if she wanted a ride. Emma shook her head, grabbed her bag, and walked out the door. I watched the car pull away. Then I just stood there, holding her untouched toast. She didn't say, I'm reporting them, but I knew she was. And somehow the silence felt worse than if she'd screamed. Emma came home earlier than I expected. She looked like she'd aged a year and half a day. I'm on mandatory leave, she said before I could even ask. She hung up her coat, kicked off her shoes, and went straight to the sink for water. Her movements were slow, deliberate, like she was rationing her energy. They've opened a formal investigation, she said. I gave them everything. Logs, timeline, receipts, location data. She didn't sit right away, just stood there with her glass in both hands, staring at the wall like it might answer back. They'll be reaching out to Grandma and Grandpa next. I nodded. I didn't trust myself to say anything yet. She finally sat down at the kitchen table, her laptop still in her bag. She didn't open it. She didn't look scared, just tired, like someone halfway through a disaster who knows there's no turning back. I wanted to ask more, what they'd said, what they might do, but I didn't, and she didn't offer. Later that night, Emma came into the living room with her laptop under one arm and her phone in her hand. She looked at me like she was deciding whether I was ready. They're blaming me, she said. The firm spoke to them today. I didn't even have to ask who they were. They said I accessed the file myself, that I didn't report the conflict on purpose, that I was trying to help my aunt. She let out a laugh that wasn't a laugh. They're not just denying it, they're rewriting it. Did you tell the firm what really happened? She nodded. And they're not stupid, but they can't assume, not without proof. I hesitated. Do you have proof? She raised an eyebrow. I do. And then finally, she opened the laptop, sat down on the floor, crossed her legs like she used to when she was 12 and doing math homework. Except now, she was getting ready to drop a bomb on 2 people who had raised me. I didn't tell them yet about this. She tapped her phone, queued up a voice recording. I didn't know if I'd need it, she said, but I do. Emma opened her phone, found the file, hit play. A soft click, then her voice, calm, edged. You stole my password. You took me out to lunch so Karen could use my laptop. A beat of silence. Then my mother. She just needed to see what he was saying. My father, flat. So you weren't the one who looked. Then my mother again, sharper. It's just a job. For Karen, it's her life. Emma hit pause. That should be enough. She opened an email draft, attached the file, typed nothing in the body. just dragged it in like she was dropping off evidence at a courthouse. She hit send. Then she closed the laptop and sat still for a long time. Karen didn't stay in jail. We didn't think she would. They let her out on bail the next day, just in time for lunch. She went home, naturally, to their house. The hero returns. I imagine they made her lasagna. Mark filed for emergency full custody the same afternoon. Emma told me a few days later, quietly, like she wasn't sure I'd want to hear it, that the firm had followed up. They verified everything, she said. The log, the IP, the timestamp, it's airtight. She was still on leave, but she didn't look lost anymore. Just steady, worn down, but standing. She sat beside me on the couch that evening, arms folded, eyes on nothing in particular. I keep thinking I shouldn't have done it, she said. Reported them? She nodded. It feels like I ripped the family in half. You didn't, I said. They did. They're old, she said. They didn't understand. Maybe, I said, but maybe they did. She looked down. I keep wondering if it was the right thing. It was, I said. I should have done it for you a long time ago. And for the first time in years, I felt like I had actually done something right. The consequences came quickly. Karen lost everything in court. Mark was granted full custody and a permanent no-contact order. She wasn't even allowed supervised visitation. The judge flagged her file in the system. High risk, restricted, zero tolerance. If she so much as sent a postcard, she'd be in violation. She's still living at my parents' house, sleeping late, blaming the system, bitter and loud and directionless. They got her back. The grandparents didn't fare much better. Mark's lawyers filed a restraining order against them too. Civil, but permanent. No visits, no custody, no birthday cards, nothing. Their role in the breach was added to the court record. They're flagged as hostile third parties. If they ever tried to petition the court for access again, they'd be shut down before the paperwork even left the printer. People found out. Not through gossip, just quiet clarity. A cousin who suddenly stopped coming to Sunday lunch. An old friend who returned the Christmas card unopened. The damage wasn't loud, but it stuck. Emma's firm reinstated her after the internal review. Official letter. Clean record. Full support. She didn't tell anyone outside of work. She didn't want to celebrate. She just took her job back and got on with it. But the distance is there now, between her and everyone who looked the other way. And I can't blame her. They haven't called me since. I blocked their numbers after the court date. Wrote a short message before I did. Don't contact Emma again. You lost the right. Then I deleted it, unsent. They didn't deserve even that much. I stood in the kitchen and watched Emma work on her laptop from the other side of the room. Same spot where this started. Same girl, only now I saw her clearly. And maybe that's what finally changed. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel guilty. I felt done. They got what they wanted. They got her. But they don't get to have her. Not anymore. Sometimes I still wonder if we did the right thing, or if we went too far, or not nearly far enough. If you have thoughts, leave a comment. And if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe.